So, good evening, everyone. I welcome you to the another exciting session of SkillX. It is an initiative by the Faridabad Toastmasters Club for its member to showcase their creative and the skills set. First of all, I would like to introduce the presenter for today. The topic for today's session is consumer behavior post COVID 19. The presenter for this topic is Mr. Yaduvinder Mittal. He's working as a vice president for business and operation for NASA Communication Private Limited, and which deals in the educational and technology. He has an experience of more than 15 years in education management and information technology. Not only that, he's a co-founder of two startups, planmyschool.com and quickfee.com. By qualification, he is a bachelor's in computer science and he holds a post-graduation from IIM Lucknow. He is a passionate about cars, new technology, and he loves to connect with people. Well, before handing the stage to the presenter, I would request everyone, if anybody has any questions, they can write they can privately inbox it to me. And once we are done with the session, I will read it out personally with their names to the presenter so we can answer all the questions. Now, let me welcome to this virtual stage presenter for today, Yaduvinder Mittal.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you for such a wonderful introduction. I think after a long time, I'm hearing such a long introduction about myself, so it looks good. So I won't waste much of my time. I'll start with the topic first. Today, I have taken this topic, consumer behavior, intentionally. I think we all are impacted by COVID in the last few months, and it has affected our lives in a lot many ways. Some people might have faced the issues or the effects of this COVID-19, and other might face in the coming time. So it is very important for us to understand what changes are we going to see and what is going to happen in this uh, upcoming months due to this COVID. So there are many aspects in which the COVID is affecting our lives, but I will be talking more about consumer behavior because it is one of the major aspects and my focus area, consumer behavior. So before I start with my session, I would like to know, what do you think? What is consumer behavior? What my audience thinks? What is consumer behavior? What do you mean by consumer behavior? Do you have an idea? Can you please give your answers in chat box? So, Amit, do we have some answers? What do people think about consumer behavior?
Yes, we have consumer reaction to market from Nishant
Hmm.
Bhimra.
Hmm.
Sheetal says consumer behavior is the way people react to the things, could be services, things, etc.
Very good. Very good.
Well,
So,
we have
yes. So before I move forward, I tell you what we do as human beings. What do we buy? So there is somebody who said we are buying and selling pattern of consumers. Yes, very good. So normally, if I see myself as a consumer, so normally what do we buy as a consumer? We buy four things as a consumer. First is goods. So when I say goods, I mean you go to a shopping mall, you buy a grocery, you buy products. These are goods. But now we go beyond that. What do we buy? We buy services. So when I say services, you might go to a salon, you might go to a spa. What are you actually getting? You are getting services. Then we buy experiences. When I use the term experience, I mean you go to a vacation. You go to a hilltop, and there's a resort which is gives you marvelous view of that valley. What are you actually buying? You're buying that experience. And fourth, we buy ideas. So when I say idea, you might go to a lawyer and you might want to get some you want to file a you want to file a case against somebody. So what that all law is giving you? He's giving you an idea how to manage your things. So normally as a consumer, we buy four things: product, services, ideas, and experience. And the study of the consumer behavior in respect to all these things is called consumer behavior. And why it is important? Now let me give you a small thing. See, you all might be working with some organization, or you might be studying right now, and in future you're going to work with some organization. Then you'll go to the field and you'll start working. What will you see? You will see that either you're on the technical side or you're on the management side, but somehow or the other, you are helping developing that product and services. So you should understand that what is consumer behavior in respect to devising your channels, devising your strategies, devising your marketing strategies, devising your products. So all these things require consumer insight. And now why I have taken this topic at this moment? Because COVID has impacted all of us at this moment. And the consumer behavior, which changes very slowly, has changed rapidly in last few weeks. And this change, it comes with opportunities, it comes with risks. If you understand the kind of change which is happening in the market, you will be able to take the best out of this scenario. There will be organizations which will lose in this scenario, there will be organizations which will gain in this scenario. But the organizations which are better equipped will win and will make profit out of the scenario. So we are going to talk all about this in the coming next half an hour, and the strategies which we should follow. So now, to give you a bit of depth of what is consumer behavior and how a consumer takes a decision while buying any product, I'll give you a brief idea. So I would like to ask a question to all the audiences, that if you have to buy a bike or a two-wheeler, what factors do you consider? What factors do you consider while buying a bike or a two-wheeler? Can I have your answers in my chat box?
We have an answer from Sheetal: safety and cost.
Cost. Okay. We have
Kushagra says comfort. Vaibhav says cost and mileage. Tarun says mileage, looks, safety, price. Nishant says
after sales support
and running cost. And we have after sales support, mileage and safety from Mukesh.
Brand. Exactly. Yes. Brand is very important. Yes. So if I classify them, all the answers, so there are few answers which are related to utility, mileage and after sales again. So some of them, they are looking forward for utility. Mileage and sales, I'll say, are utility factors. If somebody said brand, so brand can be related with your status also, and it can be related to your quality also. So now I'll tell you a brief story. Budget. Yes, budget is very, very important. Cost is very important factor. Especially for Indians, they are very budget conscious, I'll say rather. So now I'll tell you a small story. And that story will tell you that what all factors do we consider while buying anything. So I had a friend, and his name was Mr. X. I know Mr. X is an unusual name, but I have kept his name X for an example, and it is a real example for your knowledge, but I don't want to use his name. So Mr. X, he wanted to buy a bike Y. This bike Y was the most costliest bike available in the market. Now, Mr. X, he wanted to buy this bike. Why? So there were few factors. The first factor was he wanted to impress girls. He wanted to get more respect from his colleagues. And third, he thought that buying this bike would give him a better status symbol in the society. And when he considered buying this bike, he took care of all the factors as well. Other factors like mileage. The mileage of the bike was decent enough, and the after sales services was very less. So he thought this bike is in my budget, and all it satisfies all my factors, so I should go and buy this bike. But since it was a costly bike, so he had to do lots of hard work to convince his father. It took him 3 months to convince his father to buy that bike. But finally, his father was convinced. One fine day, they decided that boss, today we'll go and buy this bike Y. So Mr. X and his father, they left for the showroom to buy that bike. They kept all the money along with them. On the way to the showroom, Mr. X met his father's friend. And his father's friend, they started discussing, they started having a chit chat. While discussing, Mr. X father told his friend that today I am going to buy this bike for my child. But instead of being happy, Mr. X father's friend was not happy. He was sad. Mr. X father said, "What happened? Why are you not very happy? I'm buying the most costliest bike for my son. You should be happy." He said, "No, this bike is costly, but this bike comes with two problems. One, this bike runs very, very fast. And second, I've heard that many children got hurt, they died because of accidents while running this bike very, very fast. They met accidents and they died." Mr. X father was horrified. He said in the instance, "Boss, we are not going to buy this bike. I can buy anything for you, but not this bike, because the word of mouth for this bike is not very positive. If there are many cases of accidents, you are my only son. I can't afford to lose you, so I won't buy this bike for you." So all the effort of Mr. X, which he did in last 4 months, they were lost just because of one single conversation of maybe 2 to 3 minutes. The factor was fear. So the fear factor overcame all other positive aspects of that buying bike. So my friends, what I want to say is, whenever a consumer buy any product, there are n number of factors which he considers while buying that bike. And these factors can be classified into these four basic segments. So one is cultural segment. So when I talk about cultural segment, whenever we buy anything, any cloth or any vehicle, it is majorly influenced by the culture. So if you go to US, you go to Canada, you will see that people buy lots of pickup trucks there. There's a culture over there of buying pickup trucks. And when we talk about culture, then we have subculture and social class also. I won't go that deep, but yes, culture is one major factor. Second is social. When I talk about social factor, it says the kind of group you have, the kind of social class you live with, the kind of family, relative, friends you have. So normally, if a person who is very rich might buy a luxury vehicle, because that his circle, his relatives, his friends will all have that kind of a vehicle. But a person who belongs to middle class may buy a small or medium utility vehicle. Then the third consideration would be personal, like age, lifestyle, occupation, economic situation, personality. So somebody maybe who's young will prefer to buy a bike or a car which runs very fast. Somebody who's old age might look forward for a vehicle which gives him more comfort. So personal factors are again important. Then last is psychological factors. It is like motivation, perception. So perception is like when you say brand, somebody said brand. So what is brand? People, I see that they are more inclined towards few brands. Why? Because they feel they are safe and reliable. So that perception is there. Somebody feels that Japanese made vehicles are more better. Somebody feels that German technology is better. So that perception is there, and it helps you in taking and making the decisions in your life. And then I talked about fear, security issues. Again, these all are psychological factors. So when we are talking about so many factors, so you can understand that how complex it is to estimate what a customer is going to buy. And this COVID has impacted all these factors to some extent. So we'll try to understand the impact on the people so that we can build our strategy in the future. So my next question, which is very important for all of you, is that why it is important to understand the effect of COVID on business environment. Some of you might be working as technology guys, finance guys, or maybe operations guys, or maybe a sales guy at a medium level, junior level, or some of you might be students only. So you'll be thinking that this COVID has not impacted my life. And even if it has impacted the people who are running businesses, they are directly impacted. Why should I think about it, or why should I know about it? So my friends, ignorance is no bliss. At the end of day, if you are working professional, you are contributing to your organization and you are helping your organization in building new products and services. So if you understand the impact of COVID on the environment, and if you have attended this session, you would be able to give inputs to your organization. You will be able to guide them. What should be our strategy? What should we do in our product lines? What should we do in our customer offering? So that when it reaches your customer, the customer gets what he actually wants. So we have a saying in our management that customer needs are never stated properly. Customer is majorly not able to tell what he wants actually. He tells near about what he wants, but exact output we have to deliver to him, to the customer. So indirectly, you will be helping your organization in guiding them and building the products which are useful for the market. And even if you are not a working professional, you are maybe let's say housewife or student, so at least it will help you in your social circles. You can share your knowledge and win more friends. So it will help you in that way. Right? I'll move forward. Now I'll talk about impact of COVID-19 on economy. Let us first understand what impact has this COVID put on the markets. So first thing I'd like to tell you that this is the worst depression since the Great Depression 1920s. So we are seeing this kind of scenario maybe after 90 years. In 90 years, we have not seen such a downfall. Maybe the markets has not responded in such a manner because people are hopeful that we'll fight it through it soon. But this is the worst scenario we have seen. And if I talk about, it may take 2 to 3 years for the complete recovery. And when I saying I'm talking about the downfall might not have happened in the whole industry, but it might have happened in the few stages or maybe the few segments of the industry. But somehow or the other, the whole world is being affected by this. And if I talk in figures, so last year IMF stated that we'll be rising by around 7%. Now the IMF has decreased our growth projections to 1.9%. That means they have reduced our projection by 5%. And the latest news says that we'll be doing 5% decline. So our GDP is going to decline by 5%. That means there will be a total loss of around 12 to 15%. And if the COVID continues the way it is going, the losses might be further. So my purpose is not to scare you by the facts. My purpose is to make you understand that there might be few losses, but if you are prepared, then you will be able to fight better. Take my word, my friend. All the organizations are not going to suffer. There will be few organizations who will suffer, and there will be few organizations who will take benefit out of this scenario and make come back stronger and better. So now I will talk about what is the shift in the environment. So when the things change, there is a change in environment also. So there'll be changes happening at different levels. First, I'll talk about geopolitical level. When I talk about geopolitical level, you will see that more protectionism will come in the market. When I say more protectionism, you will see that countries will try to safeguard their customers. They will try to safeguard their interest. So companies will try that their consumer remains with their industries. So you might have seen in different parts of the world that countries they're talking about localization, that we should make goods in our own country. So this is protectionism. They'll try to save their customer. Second is behavioral. You'll see that now the customer would be more immunity conscious. The customer will value hygiene more. So if I see myself as a customer, and if I have 2 restaurants to go to, I'll go to a restaurant where I feel more secure, more safe, and where I feel that I won't catch any infection in that restaurant. So I'll go to that restaurant. So customers will look forward for more hygiene and more immunity conscious things. Third is macroeconomical. When I talk about macroeconomical, I mean capital related issues. You'll see there will be capital crunch in the market. So majorly economies or governments across the world, they are trying to give cash flows. They are trying to pump in cash so that they can fight this problem. But this problem will be there. We'll talk further more about this. Fourth is technology. You will see lots of advancement in technology. So there's a small example. Earlier, we used to give these kind of sessions offline, and I'm coming online for the first time for this kind of a session. Why? Because there is acceptance towards technology, and people, they are taking up the technology easily and fast. So acceptance towards technology is making and changing the way things are being delivered. So you have to look forward to that. The fifth is regulations. When I'm saying regulations, there will be more shift towards security. Security in terms of trade security, in terms of cyber security. So governments will be laying more stress on security to safeguard their data and information as well. Last trend will be towards supply chain transformation. You'll see that the way things are being delivered is getting changed. So if I take a small example, prior to COVID, 99% of the people, they thought that going for a haircut or a trimming, they should go to salon. But for last 2 months, since all salons are closed, so people who are giving services online, they came up in the market, and they used to come to our homes, and giving hair trimming and haircuts. So there'll be a shift in the way services are being delivered, and there'll be many more industries where shift in the supply chain will happen, and you have to look forward to that so that you can sustain your business better and grow better. So before that, I would like to know how many of you think that your industry or the industry in which you are working is being impacted by the COVID. Can I know whether your industry is impacted by the COVID, and can I know the name of the industry where you're working with, whether it's tourism, any industry you're talking about. It can be automobile, it can be oil and gas. Okay, somebody's oil construction equipment. Okay, we have people from travel, from construction, and IPR. Oh wow, even industry. Oh, even industry is impacted a lot. Okay. So guys, I've got a fair idea about my audience. So in my next slide, I'll be talking about what are the industries which are being impacted. So when I'm saying impacted, it doesn't mean that only these industries are impacted or these industries are more impacted. But I want to say that these industries might face the impact for a longer time. Some industries might face impact for a shorter time. And there'll be some industries which are neutral, which might go neutral. So the purpose is to make you understand that how your industry is going to behave and what strategy we can follow in individual industry to safeguard our interests. So if I talk about high risk industries, when I say high risk industries, they may take a bit more time to recover. I'm not saying that these industries are going to die. Take my word, every industry is stable. It may take some time to come back to the normal, and all of them will come back, and some of them might do better than what they were doing earlier. This is a fair probability. But the high risk industries are aviation, hotel, restaurants, tourism, auto dealership, ceramic tiles, gem jewelry, retail, shipping, ports, seafood, microfinance institutions. So I won't go to each and every industry, but I'll take one or two examples. Let me say if you're working with the hotel industry, so you're working with a restaurant. So restaurants may take some time to pick up now, but you will do. So what I have seen in recent times, most of the people who are working with the restaurant industry, they are not connecting to their customers. They are not reminding the customers that they are alive. So even if you're alive, your customer doesn't know that. Please go back and start connecting to your customer. Don't forget your customer at all. Your customer is there. He'll come back to you. You have to ensure faith in his mind. Second, you have to show that you are immunity conscious, you are health conscious, you are taking all measures to ensure the safety of your customers. So as I gave my example earlier, if there are restaurants, I'll go to a restaurant which is more hygiene conscious. Similarly, you have to do two things. First, ensure that you are hygiene conscious. Second, show to your customer. Third, if I see the major shift now will move from hotel industry to takeaway industry. So food takeaways will rise faster. Now what you can do? Maybe you are fine dining restaurant, but I'll suggest start giving takeaways. Now what you can do is you have to ensure that your takeaway service is better than other restaurants. Your communication, your presentation is better than other restaurants. So in this way, you will be able to hold your customer. And once the things are normal, the consumer behavior is again back to normal, you can win that customer back to your restaurant. These are the strategies which you need to follow. It doesn't mean that your industry is over, but you need to fight more to get more business. Second, I'll talk about industries which are, I'll say, medium impacted, which may be impacted in the short run, but they will capture the share back and faster run. So automobile, auto components, building material, construction, real estate, mining, banking, footwear, glass, plastic, power, trading, they'll be also impacted, but I think they'll fight back faster. Then there are few industries which are very less affected, but again, they are affected to some extent, like education, FMCG, I'll say, healthcare, telecom, utilities, agriculture goods. So because these are majorly need-based goods, it is very tough for a consumer to cut down on their spending on these goods. So these goods might not face much of trouble, but yes, they will again, the people who are not consumer conscious or the customer conscious, they will face the issues. So we have, so the purpose of showing you this graph is, if you're working in any industry, you have to understand the strategies for your respective industry. And you have to ensure that your planning is stringent or better than your competitors. I'll move to the next one. So, as I said, we talked about industry. Now we'll talk about how the consumer behavior is changing toward different services. So, as I said, FMCG is going to be fine. So you will see that consumer will go for more for groceries. The groceries consumption will increase because more and more people, they're sitting at home, they're eating, and then thanks to all these OTT platforms, they're learning dishes, they're trying new dishes. So groceries consumption is increased more. Entertainment home. So people now, they are finding ways to get entertained at home. So, and this has led to the consumption of TV channels, OTT platforms. One more thing, the people who are conscious about their education, about their knowledge, they are going towards digital learning. So digital learning platforms are showing a better response. They're growing more. Then online wellness. This is again a very good platform. I've seen that many people who are fitness trainers, they have moved their customers from offline training to online training. Again, this is towards this services, the customer behavior is going to be positive. Then web technologies. There are few segments which may take a hit and services may take a hit, like hospitality, outdoor food, luxury item, apparels. When I talk about apparels, so apparels, I'll say that apparels at the lower end of the segment might see some rise, but costly apparels or luxury items may see a dip for a shorter run. Then there are few services which will remain normal, like takeaway delivery. I said takeaway delivery will rise faster because they will eat out share of the restaurant business. So they will be not, these services will be normal in a very short span. Child food, logistics is set to rise because most of the things now they are being home delivered. So whatever the loss they are suffering from other industries, they'll manage from this part. Footwear, as I said, luxury footwear might face the heat, but I think short term or low cost footwear, they will be in profit only. And there are few industries like finances and automobiles. So automobiles, if I see again, automobiles are like footwear, like short. There'll be rise in sale of second-hand cars. There'll be a rise in sale of cars less than 5 lakh rupees in Indian segment, I'll say, or I'll say the low-end segment cars. But yes, high-end segment cars or costly cars, they will face the heat. Financing and loans, why they will face the heat? There'll be more liquidity in the market. Banks will have the cash, but they won't be willing to pay out because they'll have more fears of businesses failing, NPAs. So I think they will put the cash more. So this is the consumer behavior towards various services, I'll say. Now, there are few environmental changes. So when I say industry, so industry will look forward for more localized goods. As I said, there will be more stringent norms, there will be change in laws. So it is better that industry should buy goods from inside. There can be any trade barriers or trade restrictions happening from the government side. Increase in automation. Now industry will look forward for more automation so that they ensure that there's lesser human touch, lesser chances of spreading of viruses. So automation will increase. If I see from a workplace environment, work from home will increase. So there were many services which people never thought that this can be done sitting at home. Now people, they are doing it home and doing it with more profit. So work from home will increase. Now the business would be more task oriented. So earlier the business was like hierarchy oriented. So there's a boss, he's having a team, and he's having a set of 20 people working under him. But now you will be judged only on a direct performance, what output you are giving as an individual. So this will be a culture shift in many organizations. So you have to think according to that. You have to change your strategy according to that. Then there will be some behavioral changes, like there will be more stress and anxiety. And in few industries where there are troubles, people will see that thing in the culture, in the organization itself. But there can be stress and anxiety due to change in business segments also, because now we have to be more agile, we have to be more fast, we have to come up with new services, new product lines. So obviously when there's a change, there's some sort of uncertainty, some kind of stress, anxiety, that will happen. But you'll have to learn to cope up with it. I won't say that you can run away from it, but you'll have to learn to cope up with it. Then there will be financial issues. So businesses, individuals, they'll see that there will lack of finance in their hands. So getting loans will be tough for maybe some time. In few countries, as in India, the government has announced few schemes to give loans to businesses and individuals so that they can survive. And I think this is happening across the world. But governments are trying because they know that this financial crunch will put a deeper impact. So to soften the impact, to reduce the impact of COVID, they're trying to give liquidity to the market so that people can survive and there's more cash in the industry to run the businesses across the nation. So right now, till now, we have talked about consumer behavior, how it is impacting the industry, on the behavior of the people. Now I'll come to the second part. We know it has happened. What is our strategy and what should be our strategy? So first, as an organization, if I speak, so there are few people whom we are connected with. Normally, there are five kind of people we connect with. One is our consumers. What are consumers? Consumers are the people who consume your goods. So let's say I'm a biscuit manufacturer. So people who are eating my biscuit are my consumers. Then there's a layer, sometimes there's a layer in between, and we call them customers. So normally I'm not selling directly to my consumers. I'm selling to my dealers, retailers. So they are my customers who are again reselling my customers. So we need to take care of our customers also. Then we have our financial institutions, which helps in giving us finances for businesses. Then we have industry. The industry or the ecosystem is a segment where we are working. And then we have our workforce, the people who are developing for us, who are creating goods for us. So we need to connect to all of them. And these are the basic steps which we need to follow. When I talk about consumers, so it is very important at this moment to understand the consumer behavior, to get the right consumer insights. We have tools like AI, like ML. When I talk about AI, means artificial intelligence, ML is machine learning. So these things help us in getting better consumer insights. And these insights help us in developing better products and better services for our customers. Second, we need to enhance our customer support. Since the customer is not, or the consumer is not coming to you physically, so you have to ensure that your customer care is support is excellent. So they don't feel any lacuna or any problem while dealing with your services. Second is customer. So when I say that our customers might be our consumers, they might not be our consumers. So in case your customers are not your consumers, then you need to have your sales team, a sales team which is present everywhere. If your customer is going online, your sales team should be there online. If your customer is offline, your sales team should be offline. So you have to develop your sales team, or you have to train your sales team in a such a way that they are equipped to serve your customers online, offline, in any manner which is required to run your business properly. Third is media and influencers. See, right now in last 2 months, we have seen that most of people they have gone online. So what is happening? So they are looking forward to more of content online now, which has led to many media and influencers. So if you want to grow your business, you need to connect to influencers. Take my word, I was talking to somebody senior in marketing industry. They were telling that the impact which film stars or sports star were putting on business 10 years back, now same impact you can create with people who are on Facebook or Facebook stars or TikTokers. So you need to find the influencers of your products, and through those influencers you have to reach to your customers. Next is industry and ecosystem. So you are living in an industry, and when such this COVID kind of situation happen, you cannot fight alone. So to fight, you need to go for collaboration and alliances. We have seen in our country that collaboration alliances happening at a very high level. Facebook investing in the giants of our country. Why are they doing this? So what they are doing is they are creating a war chest. They are trying to join together their hands and create a better ecosystem where they can fight better. So collaboration and alliances are very important to survive in this industry. Second is flexible production and better supply chain management. So if you are into industry, you need to have production which is agile and flexible, and you should be able to come up with new product lines, new product segments fast and at a very high speed. And then you need to manage your supply chains. Fifth and most important and most ignored, workforce. What we see in this kind of scenarios, industries they try to save their business, but they forget that their business is based out on the workforce. So yeah, they need to maintain their workforce. They need to see who are the winners for their organization, who are the winning guys for the organization. They need to ensure that they stay with them during this time, so that when the times are better, they can win business for them again. And for that, you need to give them a better environment, better flexible working conditions, because there's stress among the people, and you have to ensure that you give them a platform or an atmosphere where they can deal with that stress. So guys, these are the few things which your organization, whether you're working with any industry, I'll talk about your industries later, but whether you're working with any industry, every industry has to touch upon these people to ensure that they have their footing in the business right now. Now, I'll try to give you a short step or strategy to sustain in your business. So, there are two strategies. One is for business and one is for individuals. So, when I talk about business, so if you are working with sales, marketing, or at a very senior position, you might see that the organization is facing this COVID. They might be seeing business losses or revenue losses. So, right now, the first thing which you should do is to hold your ground. When I say hold your ground, what you need to do is you need to maintain your cash flows. You need to ensure that you have cut down your cost enough to survive in this environment. Third, and the most important, keep connected with your customers. People, they stop connecting to customers because they are so much tense, they are in so much of stress. They forget that our customer is the king, and we have to remain connected with the customer to ensure that we survive. Second, create your armor. See, once you have your cash flows, you know that I can survive with this much of cash for next 6 or 12 months. Now start exploring new channels, start exploring new avenues. Every industry, there are few things which sell better than others. So you have to find those things and target those things. Get into association. You might get into some strategic association so that you can increase your product base, you can increase your offering to the customer. You have to rework your supply chain. You have to see that how you deliver your goods. In the recent time, I've seen that anybody or any shopkeeper who's into the region where I live, they have started home delivery. There were few services like dry cleaning and all. Even these people have started home delivery services. Why? Because they want to keep the hold of the customer. So you might have to work supply chain. You might have to work Supply chain doesn't mean it means that how your goods are being transferred to your customer. And fourth and most important, rework your value proposition. So what is value proposition? Value proposition is something which a customer sees in your product while he's buying your product. So you might have to give him something extra. As I said, that immunity might be a factor which may sell in the future, or safety might be a factor which may sell in the future. So you have to show that your product gives you more immunity or more safety, and that might become a selling point for you. So you have to think back, you have to sit back, you have to think again, what is your value proposition? You have to create the value proposition for your customer. Third, go on offense. For me, my strategy is always offense is the best defense. So sometimes if you have to defend your customer, if you have to defend your business segments, you have to go on offense. I think being timid at this moment won't be good. You have to focus on your customer, hit him hard. I know there'll be more risk, but take my word, risk comes with more gain. So you have to be on offense. And last and most important is create your fort. So when I say create your fort, see, when you'll go for offense, you'll get more customers. Now you have to strategize that how can I hold this customer to my business? How can I ensure that this customer doesn't go out from my business? And through this, you will be able to get new customer, hold on to that customer, and as the time comes, you will be winner. So you will get this advantage. And take my word, this reshuffle is for good. There are two kind of businessmen. There are one sort of businessmen which think that this is the wrong time for doing business because business are going down, and others are saying this is the right time to put the foothold so that by the time the market is up, I'm the only one in the market and I'll take the better share. Now, this was the strategy for business, but there might be people who are working as individuals. So you might be also thinking, and some of you might not have been impacted by this COVID environment. So for you, boss, I will say that remain vigilant because there will be a ripple effect. When I say ripple effect, I means there are a few industries which are affected at the moment, but those industries might put the effect on other industries. So this effect may come from one to second to third industry. So the people who are vigilant, who are ready, may be able to reduce this effect and may not even let the COVID affect their industries. So you have to be vigilant. And you have to see that the job opportunities might sink. And for that, you need to hold your position. And to hold your position, to hold your job, you might have to work harder. So don't shy away from working harder. Even if you have to work for 12 hours, work for 12 hours, but hold your position. And major thing is maintain relationship with your boss and organization. Take my word. People think that they sustain the organization because of the hard work. But study says that more than 50% of your survival or your happiness in your job is due to your boss and the work culture. So you have to maintain good relationship with your boss, your organization at this moment, so that you can sustain. And even if there's any problem, they'll help you out. So maintain good relationships and be vigilant. Second and most important is remain updated. So when I say remain updated, add new skills. You need to add new skills to your portfolio. So if I'm running some organization, if I have two guys, I have to decide whom to keep and whom not to keep. So I'll keep a guy with a better skill. So you have to ensure that you are always updated. You might have to learn new things. You might have to go for new tests, new assignments. Go for them. Don't shy away from that. But you need to remain updated. Add new skills to your portfolio. Third, remain connected. Take my word. Network is the most important thing you have in your life. To start networking and always be active in your network. The people should know that you are there in your network. And this network might help you in switching the fields. So normally if I see people, they normally, industries never prefer people from outside industry. Very few industries they prefer, but majorly people don't prefer. But this is a time where mindset of other industries or organizations are open. People know that there are many industries which are affected. So they want to hire good guys and train them. So if you are thinking of changing industry for last 4 months or 6 months, you can take this as an opportunity. And you can switch your field also. But I've given you scenarios which industries will be affected more and which will be affected less. So you can choose accordingly which industry would you like to prefer. I'm not saying any industry is bad. You can go in your industry, whatever industry you like, but this can be an opportunity for you. Fourth and most important, some of you might be looking for better opportunities. Either you're not satisfied with your current job, or you might have lost your job, or you're doing good, but still you want to find a better opportunity. So I'll just use one line that looking forward for opportunity shall not be a hobby. It shall be look like a requirement. So what people do normally do is when they are looking forward to opportunities, they do it like a part-time job. They'll spend 5 odd minutes looking for opportunity or 10 odd minutes. But take my word, if you want to really be successful and you want to really get good opportunities, spend good amount of time. If you need to spend 2 to 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, spend that time. But be honest towards yourself. Take my word. If you'll try to find opportunity with 100% conviction about yourself, you will be able to find new opportunities. Nobody can stop you from winning and getting whatever you deserve and whatever you want. My friends, this was a small presentation from my side. How this consumer behavior is going to affect us, what can be our strategies, how the environment is changing, how industry is being affected, what culture shifts are going to happen, whom we do need to connect, and what should be our personal strategy. And now I would like to thank Toastmasters for giving this opportunity. Amit, can we have some question answer if you want? We can have a question answer session also.
Yes, I have few questions, and thank you so much for such an informative session. And I'm sure it has helped me, and I'm sure it will help a lot of people attending this session. Now we have two questions. The first one, it's from Tarun. And the question is, as an employee, what are the skills that will be most in demand during the post-COVID? Will the shift be more towards programming and automation skills?
Okay. So, Tarun, what I would like to say here is the skills which you need to acquire might depend upon your industry, your job profile, and the work you do. Obviously, the automation is going to happen in your industry. So it is not that everybody should go towards programming side, but yes, if you are, let's say, working in any field related to restaurant or maybe aviation, so somebody who can help in automating the processes will be far more required than somebody who's doing the programming part, because I think for programming or for automating, they will hire the professionals, the IT guys. But they will require guys who can work as a linchpin, who can work as a bridge between these industry, the technologists and the industry. So obviously, if you can learn those skills, how to get the things automated, it will help. But again, it will majorly depend upon your job profile. So try to understand what is going to impact your industry, your job profile, and work according to that. I think that will help you more.
And we have a question from Nigel Gomes. He's from tourism industry. And his question is, do you think changes will be permanent? And for how long? Does your business plan assume that it will be for a long term?
So you are from a travel industry. See, what I see that changes related to behavior would be permanent. Obviously, it won't be 100% as it is now. But yes, over the period of time, let's say if I give 100 marks to immunity right now, I might give immunity 20 marks after 5 years. But that 20% marks would be there. Right now, the preference for immunity will be very, very high. Maybe it will reduce in the longer run. But right now, to survive, we have to take that mindset in our consideration. So, and accordingly, we have to plan our business. And accordingly, we have to plan our strategies. So, and if you say about how much time it will take, so I think I'm not the expert for this industry, but I think within 1 or 2 years, the business will be normal. It will be normal faster than what we think, because travel industry, I see more as a need based. So if I see myself, I travel around 15 to 20 days a month. And now because of this COVID, I'm not able to travel in the last 2 months, because of which I'm losing lots of business. So as soon as industry opens, I would like to travel a lot, because that is affecting my business. So similarly, there will be many more people who will be traveling. And once the industry starts, that mindset, that fear is over, it will recover fast. So yes, but that mindset, that cultural shift would remain, and it would remain for a long, long time. Please.
Okay, we have a question from Keshav. And his question is, do you think experiences will change into virtual experiences?
When you say Keshav, experience would change to virtual experiences, I personally feel that there are few things which cannot be taken virtually 100%. But yes, what you can do is you can use virtual reality to bring that experience to the customer for time being. And once that real experience is there, you can shift that customer virtual to real experiences. So 100% happening of virtual experiences may be tough. It may take a long time for us to get accustomed to that culture, because we are hardwired to some cultures, and that culture we have adapted in last 30, 35 years or maybe 20 years. So that won't change overnight. It may take a long time. So don't expect that shift to happen in a very short run. It may happen in a long run. But yes, you can use these technologies.
Yagvinder, we can't hear you. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. So I was just saying that you can use this virtual experience and holding on to your customer. But if you think that your customer will pay that much, but you are getting for real experiences, that may not happen in the short run. That may happen in a very long run. So I think it can be used as a alternative tool, but not as a full-fledged strategy as of now, for the moment.
We have a question from, just a second. We have a question from Webhub, and he says, what sort of skills can be developed if someone is from the manufacturing industry?
Oh, so Webhub, my answer to you would be, see, if you're into manufacturing sector, in manufacturing also there are different roles. You're into product development, sales, you're into operations, you're into manufacturing, you're into repair and maintenances. But one thing is you have to be good at whatever you're doing. So there might be new tools, new technologies related to your job profile. You need to learn those tools and technologies. You need to learn the technologies which help you in automating your business, in improving the efficiency of your processes. It might be Six Sigma for some quality guy. It can be some kind of certification for some quality guy. It will depend actually. It will depend totally on your job profile, but something which can improve your business, the performance of your business. That's it.
Thank you. And we have a question from Tanuj Khanna. He says, what is your take on the real estate industry? Property prices will go up or down?
So if I talk about Indian real estate industry, yes, in short run, there'll be impact.
Yagvinder, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me? I think
yes.
Okay. So then in the short run, there'll be impact on Indian real estate industry, but it will pick fast, because I personally feel that Indian real estate industry was already under stress for a long time. So I think there'll be hardly an impact of COVID on that, and it may pick faster than what we think. And moreover, since the government is now coming up with many policies, many strategies, so I've heard about a latest trend where government is saying that we will build houses which we can give to poor on rent. So that will give a boost to the construction industry. And once there's a boost in construction industry, the money will be flowed in the market, and obviously that liking for real estate is going to pick. So if I talk about world scenario, it will depend upon country to country. There are few countries where there'll be marginal effect, and there'll be few countries there'll be very high impact. So I've just talked about Indian scenario because I know more about Indian industry.
Okay, so I'm taking the last three questions. I have a question from, just a second. I have a question from Mukesh Kumar. He says, how to manage work and communicate when everybody is in work from home environment?
That is a very valid question. So managing team efficiency is the toughest job right now. So what I'll say to Mr. Mukesh is, whenever you give any task to your team, so you have to ensure that the task is being recorded. You have to ensure that task is being explicitly and very clearly defined, and the output which is you expect from the person is clearly defined. Most of the managers make this mistake. They give the task and it is not very clearly defined. So it has to be more performance based. You have to tell them you have to complete this task in this time, give them deadlines, and ensure that by the end of the day or by the end of the week, you are taking that review from the team properly. So it has to be more task oriented. And maybe you can in software industry we use Scrum and all. There are few things which we use to benchmark the performance. So you can use some benchmarks for managing a team performance, and those benchmarks you can use to get the standardized output from your team members.
Thank you. We have a question. We have a question from Puneet, and he says, "What would be the impact for the unorganized sector from the perspective of the consumer?"
See, I think now, if I talk in Indian context, so we have many unorganized sectors, and the impact will be very high, because the biggest problem which we see in unorganized sectors is that the people who are the sellers or the businessmen or the traders, they don't actually train themselves. They don't understand the consumer behavior. They don't go to these kind of sessions. They don't try to learn a lot, and they think that whatever they do is good. So their strategy might not be that much flexible or agile to to change with the upcoming customer mindset. So they'll have to learn a lot, and they might face business losses in the short run. And it is our responsibility as individuals to train those people, to make them understand what are going to be changes in the market, so that they can also sustain. But yes, the impact would be higher on unorganized sectors more than the organized sectors. This is for sure.
We have a question from Kushagra Munjal. Effect on Indian economy because of US-China Cold War. I guess it's trade war.
Yes. So I think this answer is a very long answer. It will take hours if I start talking on this topic. This is another topic. But yes, I think this war is something that can actually benefit us in long run, if I see as an Indian. So when I see US-China war, I think it's not a US-China war. It is US and Europe and many other countries against China. So there are many countries which don't want to produce more in China now. As we all know that China is the world's biggest exporter. So the maximum number of exports which are happening from China, they may not happen in China. As of now, if I see from a world perspective, people don't see any other option. They see China as the only option. So China has that advantage, still that advantage. But with our government policies and forward-going government, we might be able to attract few organizations who were into China earlier. They might come to our country. They might go out of even India also. They might go to some other countries also. So if I see at a world level, Vietnam, Philippines, Brazil, they're also taking advantage of this scenario. So this is the time for us to be geared up to take the best out of this scenario, and hopefully we'll be able to do better than what we were doing earlier. So again, if I see from other countries' perspective, as I talked about protectionism, so this is a time when we are trying to safeguard our customer. So we can use this opportunity to safeguard our interest, and we can attract other organizations from the world to come and manufacture and sell to our customers. But for that, there are two things. One is the employee mindset, the culture of our country, and the government policies. All these three things have to be aligned to support them.
Yagovinder, we have questions coming in, but the question is so. Let's have a few other questions. Rather than me narrating face-to-face questions,
Amit, I can't.
I can ask his question face-to-face. Please unmute himself or herself and switch on the video. So anybody would like to come and ask his questions?
Hi, Yadvinder.
Hi.
Can I?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So अभी जैसे भी ये भी ट्रेंड चल रहा है, गो वोकल को करो लोकल, लोकल को वोकल, जैसे अभी मोदी जी ने बोला. बट रिसेंट टाइम में मैं देख रहा हूँ कि जब भी हम चाइना से कुछ भी चीजें इंपोर्ट करते हैं या मंगवाते हैं, वो हमें बहुत ज्यादा ना चीप प्राइसेस पे मिलती है एज कम्पेयर टू द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जो हो रही है इंडिया के अंदर. सो व्हाई वी गो फॉर द लोकल इंस्टेड ऑफ व्हाई डोंट वी लाइक एज अ कंज्यूमर, मेरे को तो जहाँ पे प्राइस कम मिलेगा मैं वहां पे जाना चाहूंगा. Isn't it?
So, Keshav, I'll just try to explain it in 2-3 minutes. So we have heard about Made in India and Make in India. Sorry. So Make in India, Mr. Modi, our Modi government started in 2000, I suppose 10, around 8 or 9 or 10. So this kind of similar movement was started in 1987 in China. It was called Made in China. Fine. So China, what they did, they gave free land to industries, few electricity, few power to the industries. So that, and they went to the whole world so that the world should come to China and start manufacturing in China. And it took China 20 years, I'll say now 30 years now, to reach at this level, to create that ecosystem, to create that platform. So China, they attracted the whole world, and the whole, when you get orders from across the world, your manufacturing lines are far bigger, your supply chain is far bigger, you can produce more, and what you actually achieve is economies of scale. So China, they have achieved economy of scale in almost all the product lines. So if I think from that consumer perspective, obviously beating China from the cost perspective would be tough for us in a shorter run, but somewhere we have to start. If we want to compete to China, somewhere we have to start. So to start with, what we need to do? We need to motivate our entrepreneurs to set up new businesses. We need to have government policies so that the way they gave free land, free electricity, few resources to businesses, government has to support our businesses. And third is we need to create demand. So if we need to create a global demand, first we have to start with local demand. So this is a step-by-step process. So if we ignore the first step, we won't reach the fourth step, and we won't be able to compete China in the long run. So this is what I can say in short run, that these are the steps which will lead us to be able to compete with China. And rest, I think, if you want, you can continue offline, and we can talk it on length.
Oh, sure. We'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, so anybody else would like to ask a question to the presenter? Okay, well, if you have any question, we can mention his email address on the chat box, and everybody can email him his or her question, and he will be able to answer it. Well, I thank you everyone for coming over and attending this session, and thank you so much, Yaduvendra, for this amazing session. Now I welcome everyone for the feedback. If you have any feedback, please share it with us, and we'll try to work on that. I see a few guests here. Tanuj Khanna, would you like to share your feedback? We have Puneet.
Yeah, hi, Yadvinder. So, yeah, so it was a very good insight on all the industries that you told. So, I guess more such sessions can give more knowledge to us. So thank you for that.
Definitely, we'll try that.
Now, Puneet, please share your question, your feedback.
Yep. Thank you for the session, Yadvinder. I would like to just mention one thing. I believe even if I'm not directly related to it, it does give me a sense of how to work, what not to do, how not to argue with my boss. Thank you so much for this. And and I think most of us who are in job would be taking the note of it. And also I love the part wherein you mentioned which all industries, like point by point, would be affected, so that we don't hunt jobs in that industry, maybe not till sometime in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to share feedback?
Yeah, hi Amit. This is Tarun. Yeah, my feedback to Yadvinder is I really love the session, and I would say I'm very impressed the way you have arranged, you have structured all the content, and the way you answer the questions. I love the whole session, and thank you for answering my question also. Thank you so much. And yeah, I just wanted the session to be just carry on, and I felt that it lasts very soon. I love this session. Thank you so much.
We'll have many more such sessions. Don't worry. There's lots of things we can talk. We'll have such more sessions.
Anybody else would like to share the feedback? So I request I thank everyone for taking the time out and joining us. We will be back next week, approximately the same time in between. We are live every Saturday in between 5 to 7 p.m. and would love you to come and join us again with a new exciting session on the Informator. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Amit, for calling me on this. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you, FTMC.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.